All right, so thank you so much for joining today in the Rebirth sessions. Great that you decided to join. And why is that so great? Well, it's lovely to say become quiet together. That's for starters a great thing. It's like so wonderful to meet each other in a place that is actually real. That's huge. So that's one thing, and the other thing you could say is that's lovely to take another look at the rebirth sessions in a different way, like we did now. This is like the third introduction, but I like to say give space to the idea of introduction because of the fact that I'm say seeing the incredible changes that are occurring individually in you, in me, and it takes time to readjust, so to speak. So if you look back, and of course you don't have to organize your thoughts, is what we learn many times. It's like you don't have to organize your thoughts, but it's interesting to take a look at when was this resurrection meeting that we had. That was on Sunday. That apparently is like 5 or 6 days ago. That's very, very short time, or maybe 6 days, I think. So it's like, I don't know how it is for you, but I know that I went through a major change that affected everything again, like in a totally different way. And the intensity is, say, right here. And the intensity, what I mean with that is like the invitation to be present in the moment. It becomes very much like right here all the time. In other words, I keep rephrasing myself, but I cannot be clear enough. And this is like, I don't know how about you, how it is for you, but the changes that have occurred had a physical impact. Do you recognize that? Like, well, yeah, absolutely. And on me, on my, say, the ones that I'm with, there was a huge shift. That's my experience. Now, this needs some time to settle, and that's perfectly all right. So you might still go through all kinds of physical changes after this, resurrection intensive that we had. That really has an impact on you, of course. So that's all right to recognize that and to take time to integrate all this, because what else are you going to do? It's like this. Like, what else are you going to do? Are you going to rush over? No, that would be the thing that you do as a human being, thinking that nothing occurred and, say, psychologizing everything away. So I know there's a great benefit in the delay. In fact, in delaying this, standing still with the actual experience that you're having, slowing it down a little bit for yourself. Now, the last time that we spoke, I was talking about delay and defense as an ego tactic. Like the human world is not even 3 dimensions, it's 2 dimensions. One of them is delay and the other is denial or defense, which is to me the same thing. But here I'm saying in our spiritual process, once you're in it, delay is really helpful. So to slow everything down a little bit, not to go too fast, but standing still and actually really feeling what it is that you're experiencing, and also what it is you're experiencing when you read something. Now, this is an essential part of the rebirth sessions, to in fact come to a slowing down of all of this, in order to make it really your own experience, not as a concept being shared with you, listening. Now to actually come into an acceptance of it and a demonstration of it. Now I'm not the only one sharing this. So I got some great, from one of you, I will not mention the name, from one of you, there came a suggestion to listen to a certain tape of Joel. And Now I'm always very happy when you share something with me that is for you a recognition, because then it will be for me a recognition. And a recognition is what? Like literally, I'm recognizing there's only one thing going on. And that can mean that, like I shared this some other meetings too, is like that you're actually working on the same part, that you're actually working on the same text or same tape or same expression, literally putting all your energy in it and recognizing that whoever is also doing that is actually connecting you and saying like, hey, what do you think about this? And it's like, well, yeah, that's really great. I love that. I love to say be overwhelmed with the recognition and that there's only one thing going on, that there's no difference, but an equality and then say a recognition that is so lovely to experience. Now, but that has to be right. So it's like it cannot be forced. It cannot be that you're looking for it. It just spontaneously occurs. Like there's no real willpower connected to it. Just more like it looks like a total coincidence, and it absolutely is not. That kind of thing. Now that's lovely. Recognizing you're communicating as one instantaneously. Now, and see, if one thing occurs in our process, in our time, you know this. I'm just referring to it as like, oh, remember this. One thing that also is true is that once you, in fact, put something out there, throwing a pebble in the pond, so to speak, the ripples will return to you. So, and also, like when you plant a seed, you're not sure how big the tree is going to be. Like when I planted the seed of the infinite way for me, sharing, committing to, say, posting some emails of my friend, I had no idea that I was planting a seed that literally is like a humongous tree that has been always there, like a tree of life, just like that. So this is what I mean too. Is like when you share, literally, like share a spiritual idea, it starts to create by itself, and that is a lovely principle to recognize. So that's what I'm saying, is like you have no idea how this is going, what this is going to do with you when you actually allow this to be. Oh, whether you resist it or it really doesn't matter. You can resist it too, but it's still there and you can't ignore it. So you recognize that. In other words, it's like with the infinite way is a nice example for me, because I'm so-called, I was in an academy of A Course in Miracles. I was with Master Teacher of A Course in Miracles, but also the first day that I went to this academy, I met an ex-student of Joel, and there was no coincidence in that. But so that's really lovely. And starting the website, starting the YouTube channel was planting a seed, and you've no idea what happens with that. It is just, what do I know? What do I know? I have no idea what I'm doing in that sense, but I totally trust what is given. And when I find the right soil for that, it's almost like we're already heading into the tape group of tomorrow, because it's preparing the soil. It's like creative meditation starts with preparing the soil. Well, this is what we do here. So now you can. That's actually an interesting talk for tomorrow. Are you sure? I love this. I can't stop it either. So who knows how this continues tomorrow then, if there's such a thing. So the thing then is, okay, you can have a lot of seed, you can have beautiful, say, well-conserved seeds in your hand. Like, yeah, I collected them really well. So that's great. Yeah, that's great. Now what you're going to do with them? Because actually not so much is happening with them when you just put them in your hand. It's like, yeah, okay, yeah, but I'm not sure what's going to happen if I put them in the ground. No, that's right. You have no idea what happens, because like life is a principle, like a total part of yourself. So there's nothing to fear in that sense. But yeah, you can plant these seeds in the ground and see what happens before it comes up. If you prepare the soil well and allow it, yeah, to nurture it well, you have no idea what can happen, and it's out of your control, definitely. I can tell you this: it's like it is totally out of your control, but it's beautiful to see it grow. Yes, absolutely. So this is what I mean with the actions that you undertake. Like sometimes you just send an email to someone, and then from this one thing, say it's like opening a door, something else opens up, something else opens up, something else opens up, and it keeps repeating and keeps going. Oh, I see. And that's the beauty of life. You have no control over it, and it's happening, and you're a total part of it. Yeah, that's interesting. So, bringing it back to today, I want to share something with. This is an expression of Joel. Joel Goldsmith actually introducing the Rebirth sessions. This is how I listened to it this morning. Joel actually giving a description of what the Rebirth sessions are. And how nice it is to let somebody else tell it what it is. Like, when was it, in 61? What is happening today. So that's really lovely, isn't it? So, and you're part of it. So I'm going to share that with you. Let's listen to Joel.
Good evening. Well, now we have something like a program that we can work with these next few months, and note specifically the degree of our progress. You know, for a long time in our study and our work, it's folly to talk about progress just because we happen to know a little more truth this week than we did last week, or a few more statements of truth this week than we knew last week. Because that really isn't progress. Certainly not spiritual progress. It may be progress toward progress. In other words, the more truth we know, certainly the more we are preparing ourselves for a change of consciousness. But progress as such doesn't begin until a change of consciousness really begins. The progress doesn't begin with just the amount of truth we know. The progress begins when the truth we know begins to appear as a changed consciousness. Progress from the absolute standpoint is impossible because I and my Father are already one. All that the Father hath is already mine. I am already immortal and eternal. Therefore, there's no possibility of spiritual progress. But there can be a progress in demonstrating that which I am, or in the degree of the bringing forth, manifestation of that absolute statement. Scripture says, no man can see God, or hath seen God, and lived. Certainly, no individual except in moments of sublime realization, ever attain the fullness of the Godhead bodily. The Master spoke out from that absolute consciousness when he said, "Thou seest me, thou seest the Father that sent me." And when he said, "I am the life and I am the resurrection." But you can be assured that when he was speaking that way, he was in the very height of spiritual realization. He was at the peak of divine realization when he, as the Son of Man, disappeared to his own consciousness, and he stood forth as the Son of God. All mystics attain moments of that realization. I've called to your attention the fact of the English mystic who said, "Before God was, I am." When he said that, or felt it, or realized it, or wrote it, he had attained the ultimate of spiritual attainment, because he meant then that I am I. Before Abraham was, I am. And in that moment he stood forth as I. There have been many mystics attain that for brief moments. No one is on record as having attained it as a permanent life or a permanent way of life. Those, like the Master, who attained it at times had their periods in between, like 40 days in the wilderness, 40 days in meditation, fasting, and prayer, and other occasions that are indicated when his consciousness was not at that complete level. Therefore, we attain our spiritual realization progressively and in a measure. Some more, some less, some more at times, so on. The progress, then, does not come or cannot be measured merely by how much truth we know. But after we have known all of the possible truth and worked with it, lived with it, slept with it, demonstrated, practiced, and bit by bit come into moments of realization and attainment, that is when our progress is shown forth. You saw one of those experiences last Friday night. You witnessed such an experience when I was completely absent from the meeting. And that which governs, that which has sent forth the infinite way into expression, was in full possession of that chair. And the message that came through Friday night was not from me, it was through me. And it did more for me than for anyone in that room, I can assure you, because from that moment I have had another rebirth. Let us call that then a progressive step. Now, the way that these periods of unfoldment and attainment and progress have come to me have been bit by bit, by the realization of one statement of truth here, another statement of truth there. Sometimes a period of enlightenment and upliftment that has lasted for days and weeks, and sometimes months. You have heard me speak of this as plateaus. And in between these plateaus, there are valleys. It is possible because of the infinite nature of truth, that before a higher experience can come to us, we must unburden some of what we think of as truth, some of our concepts, and this may cause valley experiences. In other words, we do not like to let go of forms. No one does. Each one of us likes to cling to a form. And not only one form, many forms. We want to cling to the idea of health as we know it. A heart that beats so much, lungs, liver, all of these organs that operate this regularly and thus regularly. We all have that tendency to cling to form. When we think of supply, we always think in terms of dollars or pounds or whatever our national currency may be, not realizing that that isn't supply at all. And yet, how we cling to those forms. So it is, we're always clinging to the form we are acquainted with, and thereby often lose the opportunity for attaining the spirit of the form. Therefore, much of our progress is really painful, because it is a taking away from us of the forms to which we've held. Now, we are going to work in these next few months from the plateau of our Friday night session. We started the London Close class with a proposition, Moses' problem. The Red Sea in front of us, Pharaoh's army in back of us, and now get out of that. If you took that seriously, if you took that problem home with you, if you measured your own problem alongside of that, and found that in some measure you are in the same situation as Moses was, the Red Sea in front, impossible to pass. No human means known of crossing the Red Sea. Nothing visible, nothing within sight, nothing within the realm of the mind's thoughts that could possibly find a way across the Red Sea. And no possibility of turning back, because Pharaoh's army is right there at the back. Now, in the human scene, at some time in our experience, most of us get into that fix. If it isn't wholly that severe, at times it comes near to it. And of course, humanity has a way of either falling by the wayside and giving up, or trying to fight back, trying to strike out at that ocean and beat a pathway through it, which is harder to do than swimming the English Channel. And that's difficult enough. Or others turn around and try to fight their way through Pharaoh's army, and that's hard too. And so the question comes, is there a way out? And often the answer is no. Humanly, no. Humanly, there isn't a chance of anything happening that can bring me out of this situation in which I find myself, or half a dozen situations. Those who turn to the spiritual path, and certainly more especially those who are on the path of the infinite way, must say to themselves, if there isn't a human way out, there certainly must be a spiritual way out. Either this whole religious idea of a God, Spirit of Christ, is wrong, and we're just wasting time trying to find a religious solution to life, or else there must be something to it. If there is something to it, it cannot be something for some certain special people, because if it's spiritual, it must be for everyone, at least everyone who can attain that spiritual realization. And that is where we come in with our problem of the Red Sea before us, Pharaoh's army in back of us. How do we get out? And on Friday night, we saw the way out. We saw that the Red Sea isn't a Red Sea. It's as much of an illusion as a lake on a desert. Pharaoh's army isn't an army. It's as much of an illusion as a city that appears to be in the middle of a desert. In other words, that which we are fearing isn't a reality, and it doesn't have to be overcome. We don't have to fight our way through it or rise above it. The Master gave us a formula. Ye shall know the truth. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth will make you free.
All right. So that was Joel's introduction to the Rebirth sessions. And you said, like, well, what do you mean? Well, he mentions a couple of things, of course. So there's a program for the next couple of months. That's one thing. So he refers to an experience. Well, we certainly had an experience too. In our 30 days to Easter, we had an experience. Something seriously happened. You know, there was a real experience. And so that has a continuation in the sense of coming even deeper into the spiritual awakening, you could say, because it's always hard to express it. Joel uses then the metaphor of Moses with the people walking through the desert and being followed by the army, and having the Red Sea in front of them. It's like coming into an impossible situation, basically. And the impossible situation doesn't seem to have a solution. Humanly looking at it, it doesn't have a solution. But that is not the way to look at it. Humanly speaking, there's no solution to any of it. Like, you cannot solve a problem that you perceive here on the human plane. You can't really solve it. And recognizing that and admitting to it opens up the gate, you could say, to a spiritual solution. Because you literally say, like, I have no idea how to look at this or how to solve this. Or this is where the actual solution can come to you. And to stay with that for just a moment and to slow down a little bit. This is the same idea as in your human ways. You look for happiness in all kinds of ways. Like, you look for it there, you look for it there, and you don't really find it there. It is not there. You really thought it was that your happiness was depending on behaving like a human being, doing all the things that human beings do, so to speak, but recognizing that it did not work for you, that actually it brought you in so much pain that you don't know what to do with it. And so this recognition is essential. It's like, now you have an opportunity to admit that and become open for, say, happiness to come to you instead of you looking for it. Now, recognizing that it's not outside of you but inside of you. Seeing the desires, in fact, or the, say, the intentions or desires or achievements dissolve in front of your eyes, but not being concerned with it at all, and because you literally found that happiness lives within you. Now this is what the awakening is, of course. Like, the awakening is then recognizing none of this has any contribution to it. No, this is not a reality. And when I refer to this, it is your daily observations, your senses, your, say, the perception where you use your senses and think about it, thinking human thoughts about it. That is all not going to be it. So that's why rebirth sessions, as I say it, as the name came to me to share with you, is the say possibility to learn how to not apply, in fact, your natural human response on situations that you are perceiving, but recognizing first that the situation that I'm actually perceiving has no reality. So I'm not bound by it. That means that even though I feel this and feel that, and I think it has to do with my body, or it has to do with my finances or my relationship, all of this, like, no, that's not where, that doesn't work like that. And becoming open for for another experience that actually, say, gives you the fulfillment and happiness that you're looking for. Now, so this is great, but it's like you really have to want this, because, like Joel says too, like, we love to hold on to form, we love to hold on to three-dimensional world, we love to hold on to human, identity, or even though it's separation, you still hold on to it. And that can change, absolutely. But it's mostly, for many of us, it's the last thing you're going to give up in order to experience your really true happiness. So, that being said, there's a lot to discover here. Because, and here I go again, it's like slowing this down sufficiently to the pace in which you are walking this path. You see that if you take time to feel what is going on in you with this, what you hear, feeling maybe some defenses or some resistance coming up at a certain point, but recognizing that, not as that's bad, or not judging it, in other words, but using it, in fact, to see, like, hey, wait a minute, I'm really resisting this thing that's coming to me, or there must be an idea behind it that I'm losing something in order to experience something else. Now that sounds almost like a psychological session, but that's really not what this is. While you can actually not avoid your thinking processes in the whole thing, we're actually using that, but not on a psychological manner, more as a recognition of, oh my God, I actually fall into this resistance, especially connected to these ideas or to who knows what. It really doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't seem that I want to give in to that. And that's good to recognize, because then, in fact, you can be open for the true solution. See, if you wash it over or look for a distraction, you're missing the point. And missing the point means that you're going to do this again and come to the same place again. So in that sense, is by slowing down sufficiently, you can actually say that we're speeding up, because we don't want to miss any part of what is actually occurring now, specifically in this time in which you find yourself, with the things that are coming your way that are actually, it's like, impossible to deal with or to look at or to undergo or to experience. But you know that say every aspect of your life now has become, say, part of the healing, a part of the healing experience called awakening to the truth. Because the truth is already true, is what Joel said too. It's like, no, you don't have to. I and my Father are already one. But here's the thing: if I experience like deep sense of loneliness, or thinking that I'm, yeah, totally have to do it all by myself, I'm not experiencing that I and my Father are one. So here is definitely a possibility for, in fact, for letting that sink in and allowing some healing to occur. From Resurrection, the chapter Resurrection of the Heart of Mysticism. I shared the PDF on the WhatsApp because it's such a lovely book to use. So here we go. This is from chapter 4, Resurrection. So since we're like, you could almost say like post-resurrection, after our experiences last week, I need not die. I'm my true identity, my God identity, can raise up this temple every 3 years, every 3 days, every 3 months. I'm continuously renewing this body. I, the Christ of God, the reality of man, am forever about the Father's business of slowing off, rebirthing, renewing, restoring, and resurrecting this vehicle for my expression. And slowing off, I saw this word means something like getting a new skin. So very transformative. I need not die. Well, I cannot die. My true identity, my God identity, can raise up this temple every 3 years, every 3 days, every 3 months, every 3 seconds. I'm continuously renewing this body. I, the Christ of God, the reality of man, am forever about the Father's business of slowing off, rebirthing, renewing, restoring, and resurrecting this vehicle for my expression. So we're going to be quiet with this for just a second. I have some music that I love to play with, play behind all of this. But maybe it's not working, I don't know, we'll see with that. We'll see what happens. So we will be quiet with this for just a moment. See, this is great. So bringing this back to, let's say, what is asked of you in this, because that's important too. It's like if there's an connecting with you in exactly where you find yourself. See, the thing is, nobody can tell. You could say, like, nobody can tell, but by your own expression of it. Like literally, we meet each other in a total trust situation. What you share about yourself is what we believe is coming from you completely. It's like that's the same as like if you would tell a lie, you would be the only one to know. It's like we have an agreement in a certain sense. We have an agreement to totally trust each other, which is totally lovely. Now you get the effect of what you're bringing in, you could say. And if you don't bring anything in, you're still bringing something in. So that's good to know too. Why am I referring to these things? Well, it's like here, we saw this the other day too when we met in the Rebirth sessions. Like whatever you bring in is like planting a seed, is going to be, can be for you, your total healing, your total release, you could say. So it's really up to you. What are you bringing in? What are you sharing? What burden can you not carry any longer? And you want to just drop it in front of us. for it to be undone and not for any other reason. So this isn't something that we do together. Of course, we have done this too, so it's not brand new, but it's great to refer to it again and activate it as a group principle that is occurring. Like here, you really have an opportunity to share something that is bothering you, or that is totally keeps coming back to you, but you actually never get a chance to do something with it in terms of healing, or you think it's something that you have to do by yourself, for instance, or something that you've been walking around with for a long time but actually don't dare to share. Now all these things is like becomes easier when you see everyone do it. In fact, it's like you being open about what is going on for you, seeing others do that makes it easier for you to do the same thing. Like you set each other free in that sense, in a space of total trust and vulnerability. So that's one other good thing to know, then that's a real place for this. And that always comes to me in a certain way, like it is not under my conscious doing to let that occur. So there will be a time in which that can occur, no doubt. But an essential part. So the other thing that I share too was this is like there can be homework connected to it. Now here's the homework for if you decide, yes, I want to go for this, I really want to do this, great. Now here's the homework. In the little 15-minute talk that we listened to from Joel, you've heard Joel share about specific things. Now there is something that spoke to you, a very specific something that spoke to you. And write it down. Write it down. And on top of that, it's like see what that brings to you. See what happens to you when you take that little part, recognizing it for yourself or having a real resonance with it. Now you're going to let something occur with that. Not necessarily by your doing, but by you being open to receive that. And that can mean that suddenly you get a reference from a book with the same subject, but putting a light on it that's so beautiful. For instance, I'm just giving you an example. Like I had this when I listened to Joel. With this meditation. It's like the meditation that we just did with the renewal of the body, the continual renewal of the body. Like we program the body in a sense because it's completely mind-body connected, you could say. Like we program our body with an idea of continuity. You think that what happened yesterday will happen today again because that was yesterday too. So in other words, you project it continuously, perpetuating it into the future while your body is renewed every moment. The only thing that needs to occur then in this is that you allow that to happen to you. Now here is a real rebirth moment. If you actually hear that and allow that, then you will find that the body changes, that there are changes occurring. And I can continue talking about this because this is apparently my favorite subject. Like the cellular healing that is possible. It's incredible. And the body is not what you think at all. It's like Joel says it too in the meditation. It's like it's a temple that can be rebuilt in just like this. That's one thing. But it's also not what it appears to be at all. So it's an instrument for expression, for communication. It's a vehicle for communication. Now, if you use it for that, inspired, then there will be nothing wrong with it. Like literally, it's doing its thing, and apparently that is for the communication. That's what communication is, not by your description of how a body should behave. This is what I'm saying. So that's really important to learn to look at, say, all these aspects in a totally different way, because that opens something that you would have no idea about, that is possible. So one reference to that is this idea of renewing the body and letting the body do its own thing. Is I just picked a book out of my cupboard, you could say, with books. I didn't, yeah, first I couldn't find it. Suddenly you see the book, you know, that's also so amazing. I look through the cupboard, the book is certainly not there, and the next moment it is in there. But anyway, so that was given to me, a book called The Mind of the Cells of the Mother, Mother Aurobindo. She's from India. This book specifically, Mind of the Cells, is a book in which she describes her experiences with the body from a total spiritual vision, and very, very, very beautiful. Very beautiful, but also completely expanding your consciousness about anything that you think a body is. So it's like, okay, more and more it becomes clear that the way that you are communicating, even with your physicality, thinking that there are occurrences with it that's not possible with the human body. I know this. I know my heart was beating more than 350 times a minute. And like when I had my awakening experiences, literally my heart was beating over 300 beats a minute. Now that's not possible, but it did occur. And when I started meditating more, my heartbeat sank down to sometimes to 30 beats a minute. That's also not possible, but it did happen. So, and this is what I mean, it's like the body is a communication device, only it does not... that's why I put in the healing targets the illusion of common sense. It's like common sense will tell you the body is this and this and this, and it looks like that, and it has these definitions. Oh, Joe talked about this too. It's like the definitions that we impose upon it have nothing to do with how it functions. No, it's just statistics putting it into a box, and that we call a body. No, that is not what this is. So the same, of course, you know, with the idea of light body or an expanding aura or even chakras and all this. The Kundalini awakening that is taking place in you can cause all kinds of communication occurrences that you don't read in books about the body. So that's always interesting to hear more about that, because apparently if you have a problem or you perceive problems with your body, it's just like entering in front of the Red Sea. Like, there's no way I can get through this. My heart is beating 350 beats a minute. I'm not able to survive this. Now what am I going to do? For instance, I'm just giving examples. So you might have experiences, physical experiences that are absolutely impossible, but they do occur. And they have nothing to do with your description of a body, but they do have to do with, say, letting this body be a communication device completely out of the range of anything that you would think a body would do. Or, yeah, it's like, it's not by your definitions anymore. It is not... also not with your motives anymore. Like, it is not a personal possession any longer. If you stop identifying with it, it is being used in ways you just really don't know. It's really like that. I have so many experiences with that. It's like unbelievable. So that's a good chunk of it too that we're going to look at. Now, if you had no idea what the healing targets are for this, I just numbered, I put some of them on the website. Can actually share it with you as a picture. So here's some of that's just a little bit. There's so many more things to which this could apply. It's like, think of it in terms of, you could say, healing targets. So you're recognizing that there's really nothing to heal in a true sense of speaking, but in your experience of yourself, there can be things that can be undone. Now this is some of that is mentioned here. The illusion of common sense, just like I said in a moment ago. The common sense would say this and this about your body, and you believe a lot of common sense, but it's no longer your body anymore. So things are different in the first place. Experiences of anxiety, it's like these are incredible moments for healing, just like fear is. Talking from deep experience with fear was in fact going deeply into it, the start of my awakening experiences. Pain can be a really good one too. It's like, what is pain? Grief, poverty, social media. Like social media, yeah, the distraction, the belief in the things that you read, that you see, taking it for common sense or normal, what you see. And I have here a nice one too. It's like cyberborn behavior. Like that, I just invented that word. I don't think it exists, but it's like there's some behavior that is born by being in cyberspace a lot, by being in internet, you could say, a lot. And things that, in fact, it's like you used cyberspace as your habitat, as a place where you live, it's really like your world to a certain sense. But when you come out of it, you see that you might have missed a lot of for instance, working in the garden while you could have, or moving around instead of sitting still, binging one of the series, or who knows what you do. The illusion of existence is, of course, a big one too. Bodily symptoms, well, there you have it. Grounding, I put this here too. It's like grounding. Movement, exercise, relationships, future, achievement, overthinking, overachieving, loneliness, physical did I write that? Oh, physical limitation. Yeah, there you go. Physical limitation, self-care, patterns and habits, world problems, like thinking that there's an apocalypse coming up or something is really going wrong with the world. Now that can do something with you. Money problems, self-esteem, trauma, authenticity, fulfillment, touch, intimacy, sensuality, past. Now these are all things that can be maybe not directly that you see as a problem, but certainly they have to do with a definition of yourself, in which you could say, like, maybe hold on to an idea, maybe wanting to have that in a certain sense, wanting it or possessing it, or trying to manage it. So these can be just subjects. Now you saw this list, and this list you can see on the website. So except for the fact that you heard something in the 15 minutes that we were listening to from Joel, that refers to a very specific point in for yourself in your awakening, I also would like you to pick like 3 of the healing targets that are just mentioned. And so if you decide you want to do this, I will send you the, say, assignment. And you can do this as intense as you want. Like, we have 3 sessions planned during the week on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And the time that we are together is between 1 hour and 3 hours, depending on what we're doing. Sometimes it can be 3 hours, because if we decide to watch a movie, specifically because it comes up as too inspiring, so great to watch right now, because it has everything to do with where we find ourselves, and there's something given that can be really beautiful to share, transformative if you want. then it can take a little longer. And if I see that meetings mostly are between, say, 1:15 or 1:30, 1.5 hour, sometimes a little longer, depending on if we play a lot of music afterwards. So it's like an energetic occurrence altogether. So we start off, I'm basically always 10 minutes before the meeting here already playing music, say tuning into what we're going to be, where we're going to be. The meeting takes place. Then after that, there can be some music. Sometimes it's short, sometimes it's longer. It really depends on what the occurrence is. Like there's a moment in which it is ready, and then I go. That's why I do it like that. It's completely felt and not thought. All right, so that's another part. So I would love you to pick 3 of the healing targets that you recognize as, oh wow, now I see this again. Wow, yeah, that's really something that happens in my life. That's actual in my consciousness right now, or really like right in my face. I love to take another look at that. So that's the only assignment for next Tuesday then, if you decide to do this. And so it's not difficult. The homework is not difficult. It has everything to do with your honesty. The honesty is then, for instance, the choice of the healing targets, listening to yourself, and maybe being open to share one of the healing targets with each other the next time we come together, or seeing what it already does with you by even looking at that. See, you cannot look at something the same as standing in front of the Red Sea, having an army breathing in your neck. If you perceive that as a problem, you're stuck in it. If you don't perceive that as a problem, but as an opening or a possibility for discovery, then the next thing can be that you receive inspiration related to the idea that you don't know how to solve this. So that can lead to a rebirth moment for yourself, just like Joel had in his meeting. The week before this meeting that we actually listened to, he had a humongous experience. Something that was like, I don't know what happened, but it was great. He must have shared things. I would love to find out which tape that was. It was a little before that, so it's probably easy to track down. And I will share it if I find it. But if you find it, share it with me. It's like we do this together. The inspiration is universal. It's not limited to me or anything. It's like, no, that's just active use of what is available, keeping an open mind and letting this inspiration come to you and share it. There's a real joy connected to that, I can tell you that. So feel free to do that with this intention of sharing it for everyone. Absolutely great. All right, so that was a bit what I wanted to share today. And maybe you feel like sharing something too. So after the meeting, you can share it with me directly when you're here in this meeting, or you can send an email to evhub@gmail.com, or anything. So thank you so much for your attention, and I hope to see you soon in the Rebirth sessions. Thank you so much.